Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and I'm going to do a little whiteboarding. I'm going to talk about 6 pieces of advice for new professionals. I'm talking about stuff that my LinkedIn network wants me to talk about. So they said talk about entrepreneurship and career. So I'm going to share advice that's a little bit more general and maybe a little bit more applicable to anyone. The first piece of advice that I'd say if you're a new professional is try to help somebody earlier than you. Help someone earlier, because there's always somebody earlier than you. If you've worked for 1 day, 2 days, right, and somebody comes in and it's their first day, then you could help them how to find their desk, what to do for lunch, what's the expectation here or there. Try to help someone earlier. I find like creating content, when I'm creating content for people, trying to help somebody 1 year earlier in their career is super useful. You also were just there. And sometimes if you were just there a year ago, you're actually more useful to those people than somebody who's 7 years into their career. Because frankly, I'm 7 or 8 years into my career and I forgot half the stuff that was hard at the beginning. So it's harder for me to help somebody than it would be for you if you're 1 year into your career. All right, number 2, don't talk shit about yourself. Don't talk shit about self. Hey, you pride yourself on being nice to other humans. Do you? Do you pride yourself on being nice to other humans? Well, then just treat yourself like another human. There is something about you make yourself a little uncomfortable. You make people uncomfortable a little bit when you talk shit. I'm not saying that if you're good at that, if you're good at it in a humor way, sometimes that comes off, right? But on the other hand, just try to treat you like you would treat other people, because I think that that's crucial. And it's also like if you have that negative self-talk, you also kind of get negative towards other people sometimes. And then 3, leave it all on the field and try to be 1% better today. Be 1% better. So when I say leave it all on the field, I mean, hey, when you get done with the day of work, if you're tired, if you are mentally exhausted, I take that as a sign of I did a good job. You can enjoy yourself, right? If you're like a baseball player, you can enjoy yourself, you can crush it, and then by the end of the day you're super tired, right? I think about that when I'm working. I want to leave it all on the field. I want to go so hard that I'm tired at the end of the day. In a good way. I'm excited, but I'm tired. You know what I mean? That's what I want. That's my ideal. So, and then being 1% better, basically this idea of you're not going to fix everything at once. You're not going to be this person that just, takes leaps and bounds every week. You're 25% better. It's very difficult to do and you'll get discouraged. So just being 1% better, doing the next right thing, I found very useful. And then number 4 is use positive language and encourage others. And then don't act like they're on a different plane. They're just further along on the same path. Successful people want to go further and not get fluffed up by how far they got so far. So use positive language, but don't act like people are different than you. I think there is something about people that act like somebody's a genius, right? They go, "You're a genius. You're crazy. You did all this stuff." It's I think part of it is them giving themselves permission to not excel. But what if the person that you're saying is a genius just worked 60, 70 hours a week for 8 years, right? They might not even like you calling them a genius. They might actually think to themselves I'm not a genius. I literally tired myself out for 8 years. You know what I mean? So you don't need to fluff people up to make them feel good. Sometimes they just want you to kind of join them on the path. You know what I mean? Join arm in arm. You're nowhere beneath or above them. You're not, you know what I mean? They want you to join them. Successful people want company. They want people to crush it too. So using positive language, but don't fluff people up. Don't blow smoke up people's butt. We've got number 5, be scrappy. Be scrappy. You know, what do I mean by that? That's a core value at our company, Hook Agency, but what do I mean by scrappy? You can do stuff way farther if you focus on the result. What is the result you want, and get absolute clarity on a stellar result, and then don't get so focused on the exact way you get there. I've seen this in a lot of ways in my career because the methods for getting to a certain result were different 10 years ago. So if I'm new and I copied the people's methods, I could be wrong. Like, there's way quicker methods nowadays because people have built tools and built tons of ways to get there quicker. If I use those tools to get there quicker, I can get a better result in a much less amount of time than somebody who's been doing it for 10 years if they're using old school methods. So always focus on the results you want, get clarity around the result, and stop focusing on other people's methods. Those methods might be old school and incorrect. I think this is the same principle like when I accidentally start copying like a competitor or something like that. Like, unfortunately, a lot of competitors in general are doing stuff wrong. They're doing stuff in an old school way, and they're doing stuff in a way that like wastes people's money and stuff like that. So I need to stop focusing on competitor. I need to focus on the result that we want. We're dead set focused on this result. And then lastly, the biggest life hack, in my opinion, is to stop looking for a life hack and stay in the same direction for a long time with patience and diligently working on your craft. So the biggest one is patience and time, because staying in the same direction and having patience and time towards your craft, you will be incredibly surprised about how far you will go. It's actually like ridiculous. If you stay in one direction, to me, everyone that I've seen that has a career that stays in one direction and has patience and time and applies themselves gets a lot farther than they thought they were going to get, and it's beautiful. And if, let's say you got out of college and no one hired you, hey, if you act like you're a professional in that and you work 40 hours a week either looking for a job or actually working on your craft, somebody will hire you. I don't see that happening very often where someone doesn't get hired. And what it comes down to is you just need to be doing that thing like a job. You need to be doing that thing like a job, and your skills will compound. You'll get better. Somebody will hire you. In my experience, I've seen that over and over and over again. Don't get discouraged. Don't go do something else. Focus on your craft. Get better. If you need to, work an extra 20 hours to go make the ends meet, but stay focused on your craft. Get better and better, and try to be useful to people. Like, I do think that you might have a bad time if you just focus on passion. Hey, I guess this is number 7. 7 pieces of advice. Focus on usefulness over passion. Usefulness over passion. Because if I gave you all this advice and I told you to patience and time diligently in the same direction for something that you just have passion for, you might struggle, because if it's not useful to people, then they're not gonna pay you for that. So part of it is acting like a professional and doing something that's useful to people. In my experience, you're gonna have a much better time, because it's really discouraging if I just do what I'm passionate about and no one wants it. So I'm just telling you from a personal energy standpoint, not even a compensation standpoint. If you just do you're passionate about, like for instance, mine was music. I was really into music. I pushed on that for a long time, spent a lot of time and effort on that, and I found my personal energy decreased because it wasn't useful to people. I didn't have the natural talent, and for whatever reason it didn't work out for me. So my energy would go down, down, down. But once I started focusing on usefulness, my energy started going up because people wanted to compensate me for that. I felt their energy, people's energy around me changed because they're happy and excited for my work to help them. So basically, patience and time works particularly well if you focus on usefulness over passion. So those are 7 pieces of advice for new professionals. Appreciate you guys listening and watching. Have a good one. Bye.